On the second week of do's and don'ts for the month of August, I'm going to talk about relationships. So, my do for this week is do build relationships. God designed us to be relational. We want to have a great relationship with Him, but we also need to have a great relationship with some other people in our life. If you're married, your spouse, you definitely want to be close with them, but you're going to want to have some close friends that are going to hold you accountable and just do life together. So make sure that you are building relationships. However, my don't is don't compete. I read this awesome book. It's called Why Her, and it was written. I forget her name, Nicole something. She is on the Proverbs 31 Ministries staff, which is through Lisa Turkhurst, which I love. So she wrote this great book about why her and how, as women, a lot of times we compare ourselves to each other, and comparison just steals your joy. It's awful. Why do we do that? It was a wonderful book. So don't compete with another homeschooling family, but do build relationships. So, under the do, make sure you join a community or co-op, or you're at least intentional about organizing social meetups. Homeschooling can be so lonely if you are just doing it by yourself, because it's just you and your kids all day, every day at your house, and it might drive you crazy. I'm a homebody, so staying at home doesn't really bother me. My kids are not homebodies. They like to be out and about. So I try to plan play dates and trips to the library and fun little field trips, and that's very easy to do. But if you need even more, or even more of an easy button, you can just join a community, and depending on your area, there may be lots of choices. When we were on the East Coast, there weren't really a lot of choices, but here in Oklahoma, there is a plethora of things to choose from. So just kind of do some investigating, ask around, try and find some maybe homeschool groups, or maybe just a few other moms who homeschool who want to meet up with you, and you can kind of organize your own little play dates, field trips, whatever you want to call them, together. So make sure that you are socializing. There's that word. So I hate using the word socializing. That's a whole another video. Make sure that you are spending time with other humans other than your family, because you might just need that break. And it's just fun to have kids play with each other. Sometimes they get a little irritated with their siblings, and it's nice to throw some fresh kids into the mix. So play dates are fun. Co-ops are fun. You also want to be intentional about connecting with other homeschool moms. It is so lonely if you're just hanging out by yourself and you're not talking to anyone else, even if it's like at the bare minimum, Marco Polo each other, or send text messages, or share silly memes, whatever it is that can keep you connected. Ideally, you want to connect face to face. Maybe you call each other, maybe you have a play date and you chat with each other while the kids destroy one of your houses, or whatever it is that works for you. Just make sure that you're being intentional, because as moms, we tend to put ourselves last. And if your cup's not full, you're not going to be able to serve your family as best as you could. You're going to be running on empty, and that's no place to be either. So make sure you are setting up some time in your calendar to spend with other homeschool moms who can support you and encourage you, and just do have a conversation that's uninterrupted. Maybe every once in a while schedule a coffee date or something, so that you can just sit and talk. Those are going to be amazing for your well-being, which will then trickle down into your homeschooling life. I did talk about planning trips. We like to go to the zoo and playgrounds, parks. In the summertime around here, there's splash pads, pools, library. Just get out and about so you don't feel like you're confined to your house. Just because you're homeschooling doesn't mean you have to be in your home all the time. There is learning everywhere, right? Your kids can learn at the grocery store. They can learn at the zoo. They can learn on a hike. They can learn on a nature walk. So you're just doing life, and you're incorporating school into it, and you're also doing it with people you care about. Now onto the don't side. So don't compete. I said it before, I'll say it again. Comparison is the thief of joy. We all know that, right? It's not something that we sit there and say, oh, I'm going to compare myself, but it's just human nature. Our flesh just wants to do that for some reason. So we just are jealous very easily, instead of encouraging and being excited for another mom. A lot of times we go to that, I'll say myself, we go to that place where we are kind of envious of them and comparing our life or our homeschool journey to them. Don't do that. Don't be like Rachel and Leah in the Bible, right? The two sister wives in the Bible who are constantly competing with each other over who the husband loved Rachel more than Leah, and then Leah had kids and Rachel didn't. It was just a whole back and forth thing, and that relationship was completely ruined. My perspective reading it, and in the Why Her book, she talks about them a lot. And just her perspective of their story, and from my own personal reading, it just doesn't seem like they had a very good relationship as sisters. And instead of growing closer, them being married to the same man, it seemed like it created a huge wedge in their relationship as sisters, which is really sad. So don't compare yourself to another sister in Christ, or your actual sister, or another mom that you know. Every family is different. Every family is going to have different traditions, different values, culturally, financially, personalities. It's all different. So what works for one family might not work for yours, and that's okay. That is the beauty of homeschooling. Everyone, it's kind of like the opposite of cookie cutter, right? It's not going to work the same, and it might not even work the same for all your kids, and that's fine too. The last thing I want to say on the don't side is that you don't have to do all the things, right? All the events. If you do choose to sign up for a community or a co-op and they go 3 times a week on a field trip, you don't have to do that. You don't have to be in a co-op, but if you're starting out and you don't think that you're going to be intentional about planning play dates, it's kind of a good place to start, just so you can kind of start to network and get to know other homeschool moms. But overscheduling makes us too busy, and I learned this one the hard way last year because I put lots of things in our calendar and lots of commitments, and then at the end of the year I felt like a tornado had just gone by, and I was just like, whew. And I had to kind of regroup. I prayed a lot about it, and I decided to clear our plates for this school year because I want to keep our homeschooling at the focus, and I want to keep God at the center. And I just feel like when we're busy, we don't do that as easily. In church one time, I heard a pastor say the acronym for busy is being under Satan's yoke. And that's always stuck with me, because if you are busy, it is so much harder to fit in your devotional time and your prayer life and stopping to parent your kids and disciple your kids in the moment when they're hitting each other or having a tantrum, or something, a heart issue is coming up that you need to address. It's so difficult to do that when you feel like you're strapped for time, because those are not quick conversations. Those can get lengthy, depending on your child and their behavior. It may take a while to calm them down, and then you have the conversation. So being busy is just not fruitful usually for your family, because you just feel like you're under stress and you don't have the time to do what you want to do. So don't overschedule. Don't feel like you have to do all the things. Build relationships, but don't compete.